It's not working at all. That's good.
Fluctuates quite a bit today.
Yeah.
We out one time. Later, just kind of bombarded with humidity.
Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna sit over here so I can watch the Zoom link, see if anybody else pops in for a few minutes anyways. But it's 7 o'clock, so and you got 5.
Scott, do you need to take a roll?
Kitty.
First up, approval of May 2020 minutes. Make a motion to approve.
This is an issue of mindset that I was present. I was not actually present at the meeting, but
It does
But I
not.
wasn't live. I watched.
It does not.
Able to comment or.
Does not. So we'll change that to.
Second, okay, so we'll second with the change of mark. All in favor? All right, next up, review visitor comments. Do we have any visitors on Zoom?
We do not.
Old business,
None.
so the water feature and all that stuff, is that?
Why don't you bring that up under new business? Yeah. I should have put that on new business. My apologies. Off the new business. First thing, well, do you want to do water features or do you want to do the naming policy? Mr. Chairperson.
Since you have naming policy on there, let's start with that.
So on the naming policy, in your packet there's this sheet, which is something that has been created and given out to all the boards and commissions. It's just, we've got some new policies that they're implementing citywide for all the boards and commissions to get everybody on the same page. So that's the recommended policy on how we will move things forward. If this commission decides they want to create policies, you'll create them, bring them to me, vote on them, approve them, whatever, bring them to me, then I'll take them and I'll submit them up to the city manager with my recommendations along with your policy recommendations. City manager will review them. If she, down on 6A, if she supports it or is neutral of it, then it'll go to the city council for their review and approval. If for some reason city manager or myself would not support the policy, then you'd get both those documents, both the memos saying why would come back to the original commission that was submitting those. But chances are we won't get that far without at least being neutral, I would hope. So so that being said, then the naming policy that we went over last time, we started looking some. I sent a whole bunch of them out. I have the one, I put it in your packet, was the one that was kind of the most in line with where I was thinking, but I asked you all to take a look at any of the other ones that I submitted or find any yourself and have thoughts or comments. We can go from there, or if you guys like this one but want to just make some suggested changes to this, we could make some of those changes tonight as a red line draft, and then we can send it back out again for further review and possibly approval at the next meeting if we're that far down the road and ready.
comments, anything? So the person has to be dead. The third one's the person living out there.
Yeah.
Uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like the sixth bullet down says person living whose contribution or significant gift is of a most extraordinary nature.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, mostly you're usually talking about non-living folks, but if there is a living person that also has significant contributions. But we can certainly change them in any of that if y'all feel.
Is there anything in here, if something has already been named, how would it apply to changing it? I know you said it would be for permanent recognition, but. Yeah, where it says for permanent recognition, it's kind of questioning of.
Yeah, I think the goal would be that that you typically name something and you keep it that way. If it's of significance, if it's Central Park because it's centrally located, you could rechange that pretty easily. But if it's, we changed Central Park, now it's called Ivory Crockett Park. Well, Ivory Crockett Park has got a much more historical connotation to it. So I think you'd want that to be more of a permanent thing. And I didn't draft this at all. This is straight from another city's. So I'm not tied to anything on here. If y'all want to mock it up, feel free. Yeah, I would. So if you guys would want this document, I would recommend that if you don't make any changes to it, we go ahead and you could vote on it tonight, but I would think we should probably put it off one more meeting. We'll put it out to the full group and tell them that there's going to be a vote on this particular document at the August meeting. And then we would call for a vote on it. You guys would approve it. If you would approve it, then it would come to me. I would submit it up the ladder. And I know I've talked with this to my boss about something like this. Actually, Ben and I had a meeting a few weeks back with the Arts Commission. They wanted to just check in with how we were moving forward with this since they brought the sculpture park renaming to Mayor Welch Park or whatever title they were looking for. I don't remember off the top of my head. So they just wanted to make sure that we were still moving forward on something, and we told them we were. Kind of the timeline that we had submitted some draft ones to you guys last time. We'd look at one this time and mock it up and redline it if we wanted to, and then likely come back for a vote in August. And then council will probably get a look at it by We're not, this isn't on their schedule yet, so might be September, early October before council gets it in their packet, in their hand to look at it.
One of my issues is reading something on the spot and comprehending it fully. So if I missed something, please correct me. When we initially approached about reading it, we decided to hold off for election cycle, right? But did I not see that in here? Was that not in here? Any kind of stipulation like that? Is that not something that we're interested as a steadfast rule in the bylaws or whatever? Maybe that's something.
I mean, so like.
No, I mean, originally, my original objection to renaming that part was just, she just left office, the whole appearance of political favors is just something I'm trying to, not to make any statement on her. She deserves renaming, not. So I thought that's kind of where we landed on, let's hold off. And then came up, we need to make policy around it since we didn't have that policy. So my question is that something we want to add to the policy in reference to a person living whose contribution or significant gift is of extraordinary value in her nature?
So you-
I can't say that she already doesn't qualify for that. I would think maybe, I would think certainly over there. I would think, I think so. So,
Yeah, I think we should leave it on. Because it's not the city,
yeah, you're right.
so it's a detriment. She was just a citizen.
Well, we have a lot of, what I'm saying is there's also, I guess my pushback on that is there's a lot of things on here that talk about non-living individuals. Like checkmark station benefits and deserve such an honor. And kind of leave it pretty vague for somebody living. Just extraordinary person, okay? Great, but it's really broad stroke.
So if you were going on yours, because you might want to think about employees too, like when I retire, I'm so amazing. I'm sure you guys don't want to name all the parks after me, like the Sky Davis Park System, right? So do you want to say, well, you need to wait 4 years after leaving office or employment with the city before you'll be considered, or time frame, whatever it might be, but you might put employees in there along, because we've had some very long-term employees. I'm not aware that we've named anything after any of them, but you never know.
Maybe volunteer.
I don't-
Enough respect.
Government employee versus someone else, because if it's my great grandpa making his dying wish and there's $5 million in the park, that's like that.
But that's almost,
Yeah.
that's one of those other lines.
Yeah.
Like a significant financial contribution that would qualify as well. My position is we should probably add both. I would probably support bringing city employee. Mumbo jumbo.
And my thoughts were actually. I feel like they were named a lot of times for a purpose, even if it is a location. Like that. So I feel like the fireworks is strongly discouraging. Like just to really reiterate that.
I like the strongly discouraged, where it gets you right up to the point, don't do it. But there's gonna be good, like Southwest just isn't, it's the one, or
And
it's,
it
you know,
may
there's somebody.
change generations down the line where they're just not, like, don't have the memories that the generation before did, or maybe that place changed enough that they want to change it. And I can deal with that, but I think for a lot of them, it reminds me of the future.
It's gonna call the same.
Mike, for your bulleted point, how about an elected official living or city employee living shall not generally be eligible until 4 years have passed since they held office or were employed? You weren't real keen on that. Do you have an opinion on it?
I just think that that's definitely.
Yeah.
I just think of. Sounds to me like you're earning something, whereas I think naming a park isn't something you're earning. I think it's put in a whole lot of effort. It's something like this where an outside force is saying, yes, we recognize, we're awarding things. It's not something you earn specifically.
I don't know, I think that they thought she heard it because of what she did.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I think the benefit is probably reading.
Oh.
It's the triangles.
Yeah. It's on Gore and Kirkham. So there's two little triangles that have all the sculptures in them. The bird sitting on the.
We are gonna bring this to a vote, and we have, what's wrong with the other way, certainly bring those two options. Is this a line that stays in, or is this a line that stays out?
And that's what you do if you wanted to go that route. Somebody would move and second the document. I probably would. Someone could move and second the document, and then someone could make an amendment to put in or leave out any specific lines. And so you discuss the amendment and you vote on that, which would then either go into the document or not go, or take out from the document, and then you vote on the whole document after that. There is not anybody on Zoom.
As well, because you don't want it to be like, oh, they're feeling like favors or something because they're in that position.
Maybe this line. Which one? So the person living is contribution. So is that just talking contribution?
Yeah, and I did that, I consider that more broad stroke.
So then you could scratch that one. Person or the individual. I don't see why you got all three of these lines. They're basically saying the same thing. You could just put down living or living.
Say that again. So those three bullets, you would just.
Yeah, it's almost like the one is very broad about the living. You kind of break down. The acquisition of the property, was it the service to the community system?
something we could put in there, maybe that is extraordinary and maybe don't deserve tonight.
You know, honestly, if we kept that line, the person living in this country, and then we worded it how we put it, whereas shall not normally be. How did you word that first sentence?
An elected official living and city employee living shall not generally be eligible until X years has passed since they held office or were employed.
Generally, yeah, I think that word is in the law, so that would,
Yeah.
that would at least,
Somebody's on the deathbed.
almost, right, you know? If we're recording that, we might actually do something like certain circumstances, you know, and put something like that.
Yeah, I mean, generally is pretty open. I mean, so then it would come before you all for a vote, and you'd approve it, and then you'd recommend it up to council, and then they would take it under advisement, and then they ultimately are the ones that would rule yes or no or vote in favor of the parks.
So now we're back around to put in the 4 years as a best practice for leaving it open.
Let's say generally that's the case, but it's not set, so. Or whatever that may be, might choose to
Okay.
decide otherwise. All right, so let's-
Motion for that sounds good.
I wrote it in here, so if you guys are happy with that statement, is there anything else? You mentioned something on renaming. Did you want to change the paragraph on renaming?
No, I think it's okay. I guess I was thinking more of, like, if something came out later that a park was named after a person, they did something bad. but
Changing it,
We also have the exclusion.
which
Cannot be used for violence or, so, I don't know, maybe that covers it.
Which I would say that's one of the reasons why it's easier for a non-living than a living typically. Because if I'm living, I can still do bad things. Yeah. Right. Pull it back.
some flexibility.
All right, anything else on that one?
No, but I might. Y'all were talking numbers. Would y'all rather see numbers instead of bullet points there? So if you had to talk about it in the future, you could say bullets number 6. Yeah. Okay.
Subsection A.
Okay. I might make that change too. Okay, so I will mock that up, put that new one line in there and have it ready for you all. I'll go ahead and get that sent out in the next, when I come back from 4th of July, probably, so that everybody has an option to look at it over the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks before the next meeting. Thank you all.
All right, next up, water features. So stats, see the splash pad examples.
So I went and did some research. It's very hard to find individual pieces that are out there and get pricing on them. So you'll see some of these are pretty ginormous prices, and a few of them aren't broken down to just be the splash park. The first one in Richmond Heights, 2019, it's got a very small little piece of that. Playground is actually, if you're looking at the top picture with the green circle, just off that green circle, that little wedge triangle, that's actually the spray ground that's right here. So obviously that spray ground itself didn't cost $556,000, but the whole park renovation did. The other ones are more just splash pads. The next two, Hunter Park or Crystal Lake Park in Hunter Park, and Fogarty Park in University City. Both of those were actually $155,000. They're very similar size, just have spray features coming through the concrete. And then the last one was actually just completed end of last summer, fall in Fayette, Missouri. And it's quite a bit bigger too, but 260. So I don't know how relevant those really are. that's what I was able to find. Other than some of the work that we did in the outdoor pool here, and again, it was a huge ticket number. It was when we redid some of the features on the spray ground and our outdoor pool, it was about 136,000 for that work out there to redo 4 features out there. So you figure if you take that in half or divide 4 into that 140, you're getting close to $35,000-$40,000 a feature. And that one already had, so that one recycles the water, has a chlorinator and everything built into it. So just throwing those numbers out there, Ben, you want to talk about the stuff that you found too.
Yeah, some of it was in line with this. But then what looked like a cost-effective item was putting water tables out there. That seems to be a lot cheaper than if budget really was prohibitive. And then I was also curious for what we currently have in Southwest to fix it, maybe future-proof it. Do we know what that would be?
So about 5 years ago, we did that. We tore it all apart. We tried to future-proof it, and it used to be a feature that you actually had to pump, like an old school farm pump, and it had like a water tank reservoir underneath that actually pumped the water up. And then we switched it to that device where you could kind of just almost just turn the handle on and off. It was about $6,000 to do that. About $6,000 to do that work. Currently, the one we have there now is broken beyond repair. We've had plumbers come out and take a look at it, and there's just no way to repair it. If we were going to put in the same type of system, where we had some sort of pump faucet there that would run down that little dry creek bank or whatever. Forest Park has a couple that they've got in one of their nature play areas over there. That's not a German-made product. We can actually get parts on it here in the U.S. But to get that feature and install it was close to $12,000 or $13,000. Yeah, they are pretty cool little features. So, it all depends. So it all depends on if you're just using virgin water and wasting it into wastewater, or whether you're trying to recapture that and recirculate it. If you're trying to recirculate it, no, it won't be cheaper. It'll be a lot more expensive to get the chlorinators and the storage tanks and all that kind of stuff.
Like it wouldn't work there anyway.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah.
What was the original intent of upgrading?
It kept getting broke. So we were trying to do something different so that it wouldn't get broken as often. And what we did wasn't successful because it got broken just as much. That we had it on a timer, so it would only run 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or something like that. But the kids would still try, or somebody would still try to prop them open so that it would stay on all the time and keep running. It was more of a vandalism, or it was a lot of a vandalism type thing. And, hopefully whichever 13-year-old boy was tearing it up, it's now a 15-year-old boy. I didn't want to do it again, but there's always another batch of us dumb 13-year-old boys coming along. I shouldn't have said dumb.
What about, is this a location specific issue? If we move into a different space, would it be less vandalism, or it's just vandalism? It's just gonna be an issue.
I couldn't say. I just know it's been a problem there.
break, maybe. But yeah, I'm with you. Freshwater. The plumbing is already there. It's just replacing that one mechanism. Seems like that should be the most cost-effective option instead of trying to create new ones. The other option is if we're going to create a new park in the next couple of years, just factor that in.
I don't know that that would necessarily, you're talking about the new park, the former McDonald's property. It could, so that'll be in my report. GRG is gonna have a survey coming out soon, so that's something you guys could certainly add. It hadn't been anything that we're looking at down there now, as we weren't planning on having any utilities there, but it could. There has been some discussions when we go out for pool bond issue and stuff, potentially looking at a spot to do a water splash pad, like one of these $150,000 deals, along with that bond issue somewhere in a park. And we haven't located necessarily a park that would be in or anything. If you ask me, a good location would be somewhere on the north side of town, away from the pool, so that you kind of split those up a little bit. But that's certainly a possibility. But yeah, then you're talking $100,000, $200,000 to put something like that in versus a 10, $7.5, $10, $15,000 current structure or whatever we've got now, looking to fix that. So
I think you could do something to really rip out what's already there. Is there any type of repair or fixing of what's currently there that would be under 50 grand?
under 50, yeah. The ones that are in Forest Park, I think we could do for about 15, less than 15. Yvonne got some pricing on them last fall. She went over and checked those out, and I think installed, we can do that for 13,000, somewhere in that neighborhood.
And that would be right where the current one is in Southwest.
Yeah.
So what does that look like again?
It's just a little standpipe farm pump about this big, and the water flows down into like a little bit of concrete channelized. It's supposed to look like a natural creek. The concrete's got rocks set into it, so it's, I don't know, maybe from here to the exit door, long, kind of goes downhill, so it's kind of like a little river or creek to play in, and it's got a couple dam features where you can stop the flow of water built into it. That's what we have now. So the thing at Forest Park would just be 15 grand ish, just to replace the pipe water feature, not to do anything with the.
You wouldn't turn on or off that plate. If you were worried that they were breaking it, this is more durable or?
It seems to be. They're having less problems, and they can get parts. That was the big thing. The original one that we had when Southwest Park was renovated in the early 2000s, whenever that was, 2005, something like that. The system that they put in was a brand called Goric, G-R-O-I-C, and it's a German brand, and there's not very many things of that brand in the States, and no plumbers know how to work on them, and it's European fittings instead of US fittings, so nothing matches when you try to go work on them and such. So that the system in Forest Park must be an American made product, or at least American sizings, fittings and such.
Had working for over a year now, and that's going.
Yeah.
We were there 2 weeks ago. And so we were working fine. Yeah, it seems like, as long as you didn't have a problem with the previous hand pump.
Yeah.
Theoretically, as far as the device itself, the concept of the device.
I like that concept that they have to do something to make the water come out, as opposed to some sort of push button that just runs. Because someone could walk by and push the button, and what do we set it for? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. If you push the button and run off, then you just got water dumping out for the next 5 to 20 minutes or whatever the timer is. But you gotta have two people to play. Someone's gotta pump the water so someone else can play in the water.
So if we made a recommendation, to put that type of system there, then the issue becomes you don't have the 13 or 15 grand in your budget. You need to propose to the council to make a special fund for that.
I think if you guys recommend that that's what you guys would like to see go in there versus some sort of run through spray feature, whatever, you guys make that recommendation now, and vote on that and say that's what we'd like to see. Give me a month to go back and talk it out with my boss and see if we can just shake the money off the money tree somewhere. And then if not, then you all can write a formal presentation to take to council to make them try to shake the money out of the money tree. But for $10,000 to $15,000, there's money available in places. It's just getting someone to open it up.
Second, all in favor? All opposed? All right, Scott, what's the recommendation?
Okay. I'm gonna type that up real quick. Okay. Perfect. Thank you all.
Any other new business?
I have none.
Questions? Do we have master plans for our park system whole and for pool park? I mean, at one point in time, the city had a 40-acre plan.
Right.
I don't know where that went, how that went about. That was one particular park. We're doing work at Blackbird, so clearly somebody's got a vision for what we're doing there. How many of those exist?
So we have a system-wide master plan from 1998 was the last time that was updated. That includes all the parks we had at that time and said what kind of resources we should look to put in all those parks. And we brought several parks on board since then. Then there are master plans for all of the parks that have been renovated since 2000, probably, major renovations. Blackburn Park doesn't have one because it was created it was renovated in 2002, I believe it was, is when it was finished. But Southwest Park has a master plan from when it was renovated in 05, 06, something like that. Lockwood Park has one from around 2012. Barbary Park got one with that renovation in 2018. 40 acres was a joint process with the school district. That one was 2014, 2015, somewhere in that realm. But then many of them don't. A lot of the smaller ones, Barnacle, Ivy Crockett, Margaret Atlanta may have one from when it was renovated, 2008 timeframe, somewhere in that neighborhood. So basically what kind of the process has been is when we're ready to go in and renovate a park, which we have been doing every 2 or 3 years, we come in and we do a master plan for that individual park, talk to the neighbors, talk to the community, find out what folks wanted to see in that particular park. And then from that master plan, then move that into a construction phase. I think the system-wide plan needs to be updated since 1998. They're extremely expensive. So at times I'm hesitant to say, let's do a master plan for the whole park system for $115,000 when I could take $115,000 and go do work in a park and put a new playground in or new water features in or what have you. So it's crazy expensive to do them for a system-wide. Individual master plans for a given park, $20,000 to $40,000 usually to do that work.
I guess the reason I brought that up was simply currently with the pool planning going on. Is that kind of why we're where we are with the playground and the volleyball area?
So the playground council just approved, I was gonna get to that in my notes, but the council just approved to purchase a new playground for up there right now. The volleyball court will probably go away. The hope with the pool renovation is there'll be a pretty large size pavilion up there around where the volleyball court is now that can be used as dual purpose as a pavilion for the pool. So day camps or swim parties or swim teams can use it. And it would be open just to the pool, fenced off, and then you could switch it and close the inside pool to the fence and open the outside fence to the ball fields. And then you could use it for teams to rent out for in the season parties or have a small concert, things like that as the amphitheater there. And then people could sit out on the ball field and watch, I don't know, Butchwax and Hollywood or whoever come in and sing. So
Curious.
I'd love to do a park master plan, but council was just looking at a stormwater master plan for public works to redo the whole city stormwater master plan, and that one came in at about $130 something thousand. So it's hard to dedicate those funds when, like I said, you can actually just go spend. Typically, you go hire a landscape architect firm to come in and do a lot of that design work and surveys and all that kind of stuff. Find your utilities and mark them so that you know where everything's at before you start planning on what you're going to put in there. We have some of that data, but we don't have all that data on all of our parks.
And some of the smaller scale stuff we do, like the plantings at Blackbird and such, those are just designed in-house. This is something, this area we need attention, is something you and Yvonne work on.
Typically, like we're just going to redesign some plant beds or something like that, or even just changing out the playground or something. Any individual parts and pieces in a park, we usually would just do that in-house, or we might have a consultant help us, or like when we do playgrounds, when I just bid out the playground for up here at Memorial Park, I just put it out. I've got $60,000. Everybody give me your best playground for $60,000, and several firms give 2 or 3 different ones. And then we look at them and, we've got a set of criteria on how we're going to rank them, playability, accessibility, play value, price, all that kind of stuff. And then we rank them and figure out which one looks the coolest and is going to be the most fun for the kids playing on it. And that's the one we end up going with. So we'll get a lot of ideas and help from those different consultants that are bidding on the project sometimes.
Liaison reports is council personnel.
She's not able to be with us today, so she has no report. So my report, first thing is Community Days is starting this weekend. Carnival starts Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We'll do pet parade here on Monday night, 5:30 registration, 6 o'clock start time. The actual parade is on July 4th, starting at 10 a.m. And all the judges this year are park board members. So that's pretty cool for us. Dan and Ben and Tracy are all judging for us. So that's pretty cool. Thank you all for doing that. And then the fireworks will be July 4th evening at 9:45. Yesterday we showed rain. Today it shows no rain. So we'll see what happens in 4 more days. So I'm sure it'll change 5 more times. So the GRG survey I mentioned a little bit ago, they are for the new park. That survey is going to kick off on July 6th and run for about 3 weeks. So as soon as I get the link, I'll send that out to everybody. And then we'll also be posting it on all our social pages and website and whatnot. But they're going to have a host of questions on what you'd like to see in that park and give some different pictures of natural landscaping or play features or whatever, and ask residents and users would be most valuable to you all to have in that park. And then we'll finish up with that data. We'll finish up putting all that into the actual design phase. Last week, council approved our budget for the upcoming year, which was great. All of our Parks and Rec planned expenses were approved. A copy of the budget can be found on the city's website, but just some of our larger items, because total our budget for Parks and Rec is about $3.6 million. And we've got a bunch of big ticket items. I'll just read off a few of them. But seal coats out here on the parking lots, Memorial, new tractor and grass seeder, a new truck / garbage collection unit, which we're pretty excited about. Still kicking around a couple different ideas. I think the one we're going to go with will be on a large size pickup truck, but it'll have hydraulics that can pick up your normal household rolling cart with the flippy lid. We'll be able to grab onto those and pick it up and dump it in the bed and set it back down. In which case we'll move a lot of our trash cans in the park system to that type of cans, and maybe build some sort of enclosure to go around them to pretty them up a little bit. But that'll save some backs from our staff crew and hopefully some time being able to get to some of those and dump them and cleaning them out easier. Because 20 parks, trash cans, a lot of them takes a long time to get them on.
Possibly allow us to start.
So we might give it a try again and pick up recycling on a different day. Historically, recycling just doesn't work very well in a public space like a park, because as soon as the trash can gets full, everybody puts trash in the recycling, which then turns it into trash. Or, it just takes one person to throw their dog waste in the recycle bin. So at your house, we almost have zero trash in my house. It's all recycling. But when we tried it at the pool, we've tried it at the parks. When you go to pull that recycling can, I'd hazard to say 90% of the time it's mixed with trash already. So yeah.
There was a system that you had heard of yet.
I'd love to try it again, and if we go that route, we may try it with the big, what color are you guys recycling bins here? Are they blue? Green? They're all different. So I used to have a blue one, and now I have a black one. But trash is green. You would think the recycling would be greener than trash. But anyways, so yeah, it would be something that we would like. I would love to try, and I would love it to work. It just hasn't historically worked for us. I don't know why, but garbage check. Barnacle Park court, tennis courts, crack fill and paints, new bathroom, park sinks, new LED lights in the ice rink, rolling window shades over the big 3 huge windows in the ice rink to try to keep the sun off the ice during the day so it won't melt when it's 95 degrees like it is right now. New locker room benches and hangers in all the ice rink locker rooms. Drinking fountains at Ivory Crockett and Larson Park with bottle fillers. Court lights at Ivory Crockett Park. Replacement concession stand equipment, and replacing about 50% of the picnic tables around the park system. So those are kind of all the big ticket items that we're looking to do in the next year's budget. And those items add up to about $550,000. So that's why I say there's some money there. It's just getting it in the right spot sometimes. So we're pretty excited that council approved that. Nothing was, everything that we planned, everything that I submitted to go up, made it in the budget this year.
So the other 2.5 or something million, just operating costs.
Mostly operating costs. There's some other smaller capital things. Those are kind of the big ticket things, but yeah, it's mostly staffing, part-time, full-time staffing. And then your trash bags and whatever other operating expenses that we have, mowing the grass and things of that nature. That's really my report. I didn't want to bog you down with a whole bunch of stuff, so I didn't know how long the policy would take to review, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you all have any questions about anything else.
So short,
We're back up full staffed on full time. Our new guys started last week, and then we're pretty close on part time. We could still use a part time staff member or two out in parks. The ones we have are doing fine. They're not all consistent. They work 5 days a week, 8 hour days. They're part time. So we've got several that are working Tuesday, Thursdays, only in the afternoon, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whatever. So, and then they're pretty green. We didn't have a bunch of returning staff, so it's taken time to get them trained up. Which, if you ever train staff, it's oftentimes quicker just to do it yourself that day. But if you don't train them, then you're doing it yourself forever instead of letting them get the handle on how to do it. So it's slows down the work product for a little bit until they get up to speed. They're starting to come along. And then up here at the rec center, we're pretty good staffing wise up here. Full time we're covered, and part time we're doing pretty well for now. We're already looking towards August and September when college kids go back to school and stuff like that. We are going to be looking now for a 25-hour a week person who's handy for the fitness center. For those of y'all that ever worked out in the morning, Kelly Westcott, who's been with us for 15, 18 years, something like that, recently retired. So she was our preventive maintenance person. She did a lot of the initial hands-on heavy cleaning take the hoods off the treadmills and vacuum it out, fixing, a lot of the little stuff. So we're looking for someone who'd be interested in some kind of that work. If you know anybody that's handy and looking for 20 or 25 hours worth of work.
What's the next step on the
Master plan is all but finished. It just has to be delivered. And then the next step on that would be signing up with putting out an RFP or RFQ, request for proposal or request for qualifications, one or the other, on hiring design teams to actually do the final design construction documents and such, which I would imagine that will come out end of July, beginning of August. Those requests will go out, and someone will probably be on board by middle September, and then you'd start that design phase.
We're still kind of thinking replacing building off on the indoor part.
That is, yeah. So the recommendation from the master plan and kind of what I heard from council when we presented to them is that for the current time, we should build the outdoor and have it built such that we could put the indoor on it in any given moment. It's a lot of money to build it, the indoor, and I have trouble recommending it with the operating loss that's going to happen on it every year to the tune of a couple $100,000. I don't know where I would find that money in our current budgets to run it up $200,000 operating loss. So I think council is kind of the same opinion. If for some reason finances got better, then that might be more palatable. But even getting partnerships with schools and swim clubs and whatnot, it's going to be a loss. So that could still change by the time we get to the design phase and get it going, and we put it out for bids. We may put that out as an ad alternate bid and see what it comes in at and see where the financing is, and maybe the price goes down at some point if inflation ever rolls back. I don't know if things will ever drop in price, or this is the new pricing we're always going to be with. But that pool was $6 million, and then it went to $12 million in 3 years of COVID and inflation. So, and then it's still got to come to you all as voters to vote on. So, and hopefully approve.
All right, any other comments before we set the next meeting?
Ish. There are still some, as I was mentioning earlier, we just haven't had enough part-time staff to help. So as they're getting up to speed and getting better with string trimmers and blowers and being able to do the side work so that the full-time staff can mow versus full-time we're having to mow and string trim and blow a property. Because that's usually what we do. We send 2 folks out. As they're getting up to speed and being better on that, we're certainly pretty close to being caught up, but there are still a few problem spots here and there. We just did Alma parking lot over in the Crossroads Business District yesterday. It was not up to standards prior to yesterday. So some of those smaller properties are still, and those are kind of that way all the time because we've always had some properties that were on a 30-day cut list or a 14-day cut list. And depending on how things are growing, even 14 days is too long. I mean, for a lot of, well, when we actually have rain, we haven't had much rain lately. So yeah, so that's certainly helping too. 90 degrees and no rain, not a whole lot of grass grows. You still get some weeds here and there. But, so yes, we're catching up.
Make a motion to set the next meeting for August 23rd at 7